So, I'm not entirely sure where the show cut off or when it cut off, but it seems that it did, and it seems that we've lost a lot of the show here, and I've been talking for 45 minutes, so that is all kinds of messed up. But the show must go on. We've got another 15 minutes here, so we're going to do with what we can. I apologize, folks. I don't know what's going on. As I've said before, technology hates me. I love it, but it hates me. It's a love-hate relationship. It's abusive. I should probably work on that. In a nutshell, Greg Abbott is getting to the right answers the wrong way on constitutional issues insofar as his speech today, or his interview with an Austin reporter yesterday. And I think Rick Perry is going to throw his hat in the ring in 2012, and I don't think it's going to be that great, and I don't think he's going to win. And Obama's proposal for community college being free is going to hurt workers and hurt Americans, and I believe that his new proposal for paid days off, a week of paid days off for American workers, is going to force businesses into providing benefits that they cannot offer otherwise, and that will force them into getting higher fees or not expanding, and hurt business, because anytime you force them to add a benefit, you are taking away from their growth abilities, because businesses offer what they can when they can, and it's our job to negotiate or choose to work elsewhere if they're not offering the benefits that we want. And if you can't find a job that offers the benefits you want or need, then you need to make yourself more competitive in the market. And that does not necessarily mean you need a degree. It may mean that you need to have better accessible hours. It may mean that you need more work experience yourself. But c'est la vie. It is what it is. Life is harsh, and forcing businesses to offer things they can't offer under free market circumstances is not good for the country. I can't believe we lost 3/4 of the show. I'm just flabbergasted by that. Been talking to myself for 45 minutes. But yeah, so a little bit of a tidbit here. Julie Borowski, who's been on the show before, put up a very interesting article. I'm just going to plow through this stuff here because there was a lot of stuff I wanted to cover, but losing 3/4 of the show is crazy town. For those of you who are listening live, you heard the first 45 minutes, and that's fantastic. So thank you for listening live. But I'm just going to plow through the rest of this here and try to finish out the show as best we can. So, a direct quote from an internal IRS handbook obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union under the Freedom of Information Act says, "The Fourth Amendment does not protect communications held in electronic storage, such as email messages stored on a server, because Internet users do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in such communications." I don't know about you, but I fully expect my email communications to be private. I do not believe that the government has any right to go through my emails and read them. But current privacy law does not protect us because the Bill of Rights has been so gutted by government. And Julie goes on to say that unfortunately, because of I'm paraphrasing, the Electronic Communication Privacy Act pertaining to internet communication was written in 1986. And that, apparently, is why we don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy on the internet. Amazing. And what's interesting is, as she says, Republicans and Democrats agree on it. A majority of members in the House, including 98 Democrats, co-sponsored legislation to make it happen, but it hasn't yet. Even the White House has recommended renewing the ECPA. And Julie suggests that the new Congress should take up this legislation and ensure our privacy rights against the IRS and other government agencies. I think Julie makes a fantastic point. You can find this blog post on freedomworks.com, freedomworks.org. And as she said, the IRS shouldn't be allowed to snoop through our private emails, period. I agree. Unfortunately, lawyers over the years have just continuously gutted our rights and taken it to court repeatedly, and judges have ruled inappropriately. And that's the world we live in. So, when people who have a liberty-minded agenda get into power, like the 114th Congress purports to be a liberty-minded group, or at least a freedom-minded group in that they are Republicans, is absolutely something that they should take up. Now, one thing that they've been talking about doing is addressing the net neutrality business. For those of you who don't know, net neutrality is the argument that all data on the internet should be treated equally, and that internet service providers such as Comcast and Time Warner Cable and AT&T and Verizon and all these other small businesses should not be allowed to throttle internet. They shouldn't be able to give priority to some and therefore inadvertently slow down others. The chief argument or chief reason why this has become a thing in recent years is because of businesses like Hulu and Netflix. A lot of people, myself included, prefer to stream their entertainment. I watch TV shows online. I don't even have cable. I don't even have bunny ears. You know, I get all my news at work, working in news, but I don't watch regular television. Everything that I want to watch is online, where I can get it. There's no reason for me to pay for cable when I can just pay for internet. And internet companies are reacting to that, and they're trying to kind of make some of their money back. And by doing that, they want to say companies like Verizon and Hulu need to pay an extra fee to be put at the front of the line when it comes to what data is coming down the pipe to you. And this argument it's very well made in both directions. People in favor of net neutrality say that businesses shouldn't be able to choose who gets fast and slow by requiring these extra fees based to companies based on how much they use, when you and I are paying for X amount of bandwidth and we should be able to use that for whatever we want. It's a good argument. I don't want them to throttle my internet. That being said, it would be very easy for companies like Hulu and Netflix to refuse to pay these fees to, say, Time Warner Cable, and those of us who don't want them to throttle that internet, don't want them to slow it down, we can switch internet service providers. You know, instead of getting Comcast, you get Verizon. Instead of Verizon, you go with the small company at home. For example, in my area, there's a company called Grande. They're a cable company, and they've got pretty fast internet. A lot of people in the South have Suddenlink, for example. And there's all kinds of small companies like that have generally faster speeds and better customer service. as opposed to the big companies. But I believe the free market will work it out, and I don't think the government should regulate the internet like a utility, like electricity or water, and I don't think they should regulate those either, but I don't want to get into that. It is disheartening to hear and see that the FCC is trying to put out regulations on these businesses when the free market could simply tell them no. I mean, it's because of the free market that the internet has boomed anyway. It's because of people like you and me, people that want to listen to my show, people that want to listen to music on Pandora or iHeart or whatever. Spotify. The amount of services that businesses have been able to offer online, the amount of great subscription things that you can get into, the idea that us as consumers that have helped create this magical place that is the internet can't manage to fix it all ourselves, can't manage to make these decisions ourselves, is not something I can comprehend. I believe that the consumers will put their money where their mouth is, and I think that companies like Hulu, like Netflix, that are saying, look, we're not going to pay these outrageous fees when people are already paying us and already paying you, so why should we pay each other? That makes sense to me. I mean, if I go to a grocery store and they put me in a slower lane because I bought Tostitos chips instead of Doritos. Let's just use that as, or better yet, let's say you've got Doritos by Frito-Lay, and then you've got Cheetos. I think they're different brands or different companies. So if you get Doritos, you get into the express lane, no matter how many items in your basket. But if you've got Cheetos, you got to go to the slow lane behind the really fat guy with 2 baskets full of ice cream and frozen dinners. That I would not go to that grocery store. I don't think the government needs to tell the grocery store that they can't change lines. And that's just my opinion on the matter. And again, I think both sides make good points here. I just tend to err on the side of less government because I'm afraid of what will happen after the fact. I'm afraid that people with, just motives, people with, they had the right idea, I think that they will do more harm than good, because in government, no matter what noble cause is being championed, no matter what great thing they think they're doing, inevitably you end up seeing something bad come of it. And the problem with net neutrality, in my opinion, is that it takes this idea of subscription fast lanes from companies and puts it in the hand of the government to control as they see fit, which could result in some companies, like news companies, for instance, being required to be at the front because people got to get their information, or let's put entertainment on the back burner because it's immoral. I mean, imagine if they started putting a throttle on something that the government didn't like. Like, let's say you got a hyper-conservative FCC, and they said, well, we need to put a throttle on CNN or something because, they're putting out a bad agenda. I mean, you're more likely to see a liberal FCC get out there and try to say, okay, well, Fox News is garbage, and we need to make sure that goes at the back of the bus. And I'm not saying that's what they're proposing. It's not what they're proposing. But giving them the power to choose, giving them the power to control the internet, could end up in them requiring speeds to be a certain thing, a certain speed. And Obama proposes too, minimum internet speeds being increased for broadband. Something like that could go into effect, and you could see serious problems in terms of internet rates going way up, which, if they're forced to increase speed